Good morning. Our lesson today is about Paul and how he goes to many different countries and different churches and shares the word of Jesus. The story is from the book of Acts over in chapter 17 and some of the other chapters around that. It's in the back of the Bible in the New Testament. Paul, if you remember, started his life as a Christian on the road to Damascus. He went everywhere telling bad things about Christians, at times doing terrible things to Christians. And on the road to Damascus, Jesus had a conversation with Paul, and he became a new person. Saul was changed to Paul, and his life was forever changed. He went to Greece, to Asia, to several other countries by boat, not by plane, because if you remember back in those days when Jesus was on the earth, there were no airplanes. But he went all over telling people about Jesus. He would even be what you might call your first church administrator. He would go into churches and he would think, they're not really doing things like Jesus would want them to do. Why are they doing all these unnecessary things or things that Jesus would not be pleased with? And he would kind of, what you might call, set them on the right path and get them back to where they were worshiping the one true God and putting Jesus on the pedestal that he needs to be on. And he made lots of friends along the way. Just to name a couple, Lydia and Silas. Silas was a good friend of Paul. They spent a few nights in jail, if you remember, at one time whenever they got angry because he was spreading the news of Jesus. And in the middle of the night, when they should be sitting there saying, "Oh, poor pitiful me, how bad can it be? We're going to be here for days and days." Now, if you remember that story, they were singing praises in the middle of the night to praise Jesus because they knew that Jesus had not forgot them. And sure enough, an earthquake came and they got out of jail. And because of their testimony in the middle of that storm, lots and lots of people were saved. Just like Paul did in his day, Jesus asked us today to go and tell others about Jesus and to share the love of Jesus. Especially right now when everyone's cooped up, and ball games are canceled, and gymnastics is canceled. Sometimes it's easy for us to get kind of down and say, well, life's not really good. This could have been better. That could have been better. But we always need to remember that Jesus is in control. What a better time to go and tell others how much Jesus loves them. You may think, well, I'm just a little kid. I'm 5, I'm 10, I'm 12. What can I possibly do? Think back to all the wonderful ways Jesus used kids in the Bible. One of my favorite was Miriam. If you remember, Miriam was the sister of Moses. And just when Moses' mom was just at her wit's end, they put baby Moses in a basket. And Miriam stood watch and made sure that baby Moses was kept safe. And then you have David. Nobody wanted to fight Goliath. Nobody. Everybody was scared. Not David. He went out with his 5 little stones because he did not forget that he had God on his side. Then you have the little boy. Do you remember the little boy who probably got ready all morning to go see Jesus? He probably got up. His mom packed a wonderful lunch of bread and fishes. He probably walked half the day to get to where Jesus was. He was so excited. And when they got there, Jesus had talked for so long, it grew late in the day. And the disciples came over and said, "Jesus, what are we going to do for food?" Well, the disciples didn't have a plan, but Jesus had a plan. He used that little boy's lunch, one little lunch that was for a little bitty boy. God prayed over it and made food for a whole multitude of people. So just like God used those children, Jesus can use you. Maybe it's a friend that you know is really sad because the ball tournament they were supposed to have this weekend has been canceled. Maybe you can call that friend or go over and even though you can't get close, say hey from the car and let that friend know that you still love them. You know, maybe it's a family member who has a new brother or sister, and during this time you can't get too close because you might make the baby sick. Maybe it's a good time for you to send that friend a card and let them know that you're thinking about them, and more than that, that Jesus is thinking about them. Never let anybody tell you that you are too young to share the love of Jesus with others because you're a kid. Never, ever. Sometimes you can reach people in your class at school, in your gymnastics class, on your ball team. You can tell those people that Jesus loved them more than any pastor from a stage such as this or from a teacher, because you're on their level and you know how it is to lose a ball game. You know what it's like to miss a gymnastics meet. So never forget that you are old enough and you're important enough to do God's work and share the love of God with others. I'm going to read a Bible verse. It's actually not in Acts. It comes from 1 Timothy, because one of Paul's friends was Timothy. Now, Timothy was a young man, and Paul was he was a preacher, but he was a great teacher to Timothy, and told Timothy how he should act and how he should share the love of Jesus with others. So 1 Timothy 4:12 says, "You are young, but do not let anyone tell you as if you were not important. Be an example to show the believers how they should live. Show them with your words, with the way that you live, with your love, with your faith, and with your pure heart." If we live like we should and we are always trying to set the right example, others will see the love of Jesus through us. We sure do miss you all. We miss having this building filled with children and the laughter and the giggles and playing hide and seek throughout the pews and things that kids do. We sure do miss you, and we hope to see you guys soon. For now, we're going to say goodbye, and hopefully we'll have another Bible story soon.